The hard topics, they're hard to talk about. Today started off as a very gloomy day, and then the sun is coming out. And with hard topics, they can seem very gloomy, and often they are, and they're difficult to talk about. But in schools, we have to, because we need to take care of kids. And the good news about that is that oftentimes the sun does come out for lots of these kids because of the things that we do. I am going to talk about the most serious, I believe, of all of the topics, and that is suicide. And there's no way as a school counselor to go through and all the years of being a school counselor and not have to deal with that very serious topic. And yes, I've tried to infuse hope throughout my years in education in everything I do in the schools. And when I was a teacher, I tried to infuse hope as well. And I know there are teachers out there who do that on a daily basis. And yet we still encounter students who have suicidal thoughts, ideation, or have attempted suicide, or need hospitalization, or actually have completed suicide, which is the hardest thing ever. And I'm not going to talk about that a lot because for educators and for school counselors, it is the worst thing ever to have to deal with. But in our schools, we do save lives, and I know that. I know school counselors, I know teachers have saved lives by getting kids the help that they need. And so the things that we do in school are so important. They're unbelievably important. And when a life is not saved, it impacts all of us in a huge way, a way that I don't think lots of people understand unless you've been there and experienced that. But I think it's more important for us to, in schools, to remember to focus on hope and give kids hope and infuse it into our curriculum. Give them the skills and the strategies they need to cope with all the difficult things in life, because there are going to continue to be difficult things in life. And if we can, as educators and school counselors, infuse that in everything we do, then what we do does matter. All those difficult topics, and they will continue to happen, and we can be models of hope and give kids, help them see the sun and do the best we can. And sometimes everything we do, we try everything in our power to make a difference, and sometimes it doesn't. And that's hard to deal with. That is so hard to deal with. But we continue to do it because we know we are going to make a difference in some other child's life. And so we're going to continue to make a difference in the way that we know how, by what we do, by what we say. And yes, amazingly enough, the small things matter. I remember a story of a long time ago when I was, I think it was in junior high when I was there. And I have I don't know if it's a habit, but I tend to smile at kids in the hall and, say good morning and really try to make an honest effort. And I think that's because of Leo Viscalia, who years ago told a story about someone walking to the Golden Gate Bridge, and that person said if nobody smiled at them when they got to the bridge, they were going to commit suicide. And nobody smiled along the way. And so that story stuck with me. And when I'm in the halls with kids, I always really try to make an effort to say good morning, to smile at them. And this one kid in this particular incidents, I didn't teach her, I wasn't her counselor, but she came up to me at the end of the year and told me what a difference that I made. And I was like, well, what was the difference? What did I do? And she said, you smiled at me every single day in the hallway. And that changed everything. And so I don't ever underestimate the small things we do and the little things we can do to make an impact.
The things we do make a difference. The simple gestures, like Ben did, of buying a student a book or giving a student a little heart to tell them that they make a difference to you, or taking the time to really listen to what's going on with the student, knowing that their behaviors usually indicate something else. So when it seems that they are miserable or feeling, most importantly, feeling miserable, they're acting out on the outside, but inside they're hurting. Hurt people hurt people. And so finding out what's going on with the student and taking the time to do that, developing a trust relationship is key. Developing a relationship of trust is definitely key. And sometimes that takes time. So it's really hard sometimes because we have to make the hard calls. And certainly as school counselors, we know that. Once we make that call to a parent that a student is feeling suicidal and maybe needs to go to the hospital, sometimes that relationship is severed because the student's angry. And it's only years later when they realize that what we were doing was trying to save their life. Does it make a difference? So it's tough because they get mad and they're angry at the world and at you, and they're trying to push everybody away. But making the right call is the right thing to do, and we know that. And certainly as school counselors, we know that. So keep doing all those things that you're doing, and I know Open Spokes, you do them every day. And we're all going to continue to learn from each other and do as much as we can to make a difference with these hard topics. So thanks for having it, even though it's difficult.